I think Charlie Kirk left behind a wonderful legacy of, you know, telling students to speak their mind, stand up for what they believe in, and above all, be respectful of each other, and be peaceful. And, you know, when it comes to political discussions and conversations and disagreements, keep it at words. Keep it at words, you know, have good relationships with those around you, regardless of their politics. And, you know, try to, you know, base your stances on facts, logic, reason, science, all that stuff. And then, you know, share your opinion, go your separate ways, and then just keep it moving, keep it rolling. And I really appreciate what he did with TPUSA. You know, cultivating safe spaces for right-wingers to speak their mind on campuses that are largely left-wing. I hope this summarizes his legacy well. I think that Charlie Kirk is kind of a hard person to sort of put into a 1 or 2 minute video, but Brute America gave it a shot, so I figured I would react to it. This is a compilation of Charlie Kirk 9 arguments that he has made throughout the course of his career in political activism. This is from Brute America.
We actually need looser gun laws, because I think that
gun laws.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially in states like Chicago and Illinois, where it's very basic Second Amendment rights, those of us.
I agree. He was shot in a gun-free zone.
That believe in the Second Amendment. We fully acknowledge that when you have liberty, that you're going to have sometimes undesirable outcomes. We as enthusiasts for the Second Amendment acknowledge that in a free society, people are going to do bad things and dumb things, but there is a price to liberty. Isn't it?
Very true. Very true. I made a video kind of about this. Let me see if I can find this video, because it did a really good job of summarizing my position here. It's an older one. It's a deep cut. You might not even remember it if you're watching this stream live. You might not remember it. It's actually one of my favorite clips ever. It really should be one of these videos. But my position was essentially, if you had to pick between fighting an American citizen and fighting the government, you want to be able to choose, you know, the citizen every time. And what I mean by that is, if an American screws up, right, does something bad. So, for example, let's say that, an American is going on a rampage, running around, killing a bunch of people. You want to be able to go and put that person down, right? Versus if the state says, okay, we're going to go ahead and massacre a whole lot of people, it's a lot harder to fight that person, right? So there's always going to be liberty. The question is, who's going to have that liberty? Is it going to be the American citizen, or is it going to be the government? That's the question. And, people are not perfect, right? We live in a fallen world. So mistakes are going to happen either way. If you give the government too much power, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to affect a lot of people. Give people too much freedom, they're going to make mistakes. Is it going to be the American citizen? Oh, I did not mean to click that. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to affect as many people, but they are going to make mistakes. So I agree, the scale, you really want it to be the citizens to be making the mistakes, not the federal government. Because once the federal government's been making those mistakes, it's almost impossible to revert it. You can try, but no promises.
To liberty. Isn't it racist then to penalize white people to come into college or to get jobs based on the color of their skin? Well, no. Wouldn't that be racist? So you're arguing for a very racist policy, which is that we should actively discriminate against people based on the color of their skin, which is affirmative action in DEI in practice.
Affirmative action in DEI is systemic racism.
It's very specifically about democracy, which is not an American value. It never has been and never should be. What's happening at the Democratic Party is this very sinister combination. It never democracy, which is specifically about democracy, which is not an American value. It never has been and never should be.
Very interesting take. I would like to see the context surrounding that. I do think that some form of democracy, it lies at the bedrock of what it means to be American. I think if you stopped having elections, I don't think it'd be America anymore. I mean, it may technically be America. It may nominally be America, but it wouldn't spiritually be America. It wouldn't feel like it's America still.
What's happening at the Democrat Party is this very sinister combination. It's a party of censorship. It's a party of war, a party of open borders that is against.
To be fair, the Republican Party is a party of war as well. Bro, you should have seen Lindsey Graham say that all the Gazans should be massacred and genocided. And this was day one of the war, right? We're not talking about, yesterday somebody in the Israeli cabinet said we should take over Gaza. Like, no. We're talking about like day one after October 7th. He was saying that, flatten the place was literally his word. Literally his words. So Republicans are they can be warmongery too.
Actual traditional liberal values. Men are much better at macro topics, right? Trying to build a building, put a skyscraper up, trying to talk geopolitics. When you go and you see 5 women eating lunch, they're probably talking about conversations they had, relationships, friendships. Men, they're talking about politics, sports, or the stock market. This is feminine.
I don't know how true that is. I would need to see more evidence. Interesting though.
You as women should want to be provided for. In fact, you should have an expectation that you as a woman are so important and so critical and so necessary and beautiful that it shouldn't even be a question. The male mind is wired different than the female mind. Men will never be as good at counseling or psychology sessions as women. Men will never be good at nursing or elementary school education as women. We have certain giftings as our brain is wired a certain way.
Probably
I think it's
true,
worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
It's very true. I completely agree with that as well. I agree with Charlie Kirk on a lot of things. I disagree with him on some things, though. And I disagree with the way that he speaks at times. I think that I understand what he was going for in a lot of his engagements, cracking jokes and things. It's very humanizing, especially in a political conversation. Not everyone does that. It's a lot harder to sort of be demonized. He says, do you ignore the chat too? Funny. I will get to you. Lady Veen, I will get to you. It's very humanizing to crack jokes. It's very humanizing to be someone with a sense of humor. But I do think that he went a little aggro sometimes, and he kind of like would mock some of the people who came up there. Now, if someone comes up to him loaded for bear, then it's fine to shoot back with similar fire. But he was in some of the situations he was sort of being aggro. I heard that he had mellowed out a little bit towards the end there. I was not following him super closely, so I don't know. But I mean, it really is a shame that this guy got killed because, first of all, we don't know how the radical people on the right are going to respond, right? We don't know if the keyboard warriors are they're actually going to try to start some sort of crazy revolution. But also, I wouldn't be shocked if we start seeing a movement of a whole lot of people running around sort of imitating what he did, right? Doing things very similarly or just speaking their mind online, trying to fill the hole in the vacuum that Charlie Kirk has left.